Where you work and who you work with matters. I'm Dr. Jim Dalton, President and CEO of Damar. We're dedicated to helping vulnerable kids and adults with disabilities. Right now, we're looking for tough people with big hearts, people who don't think twice about standing up for someone else, and who love seeing others grow and succeed. Is your job fulfilling emotionally, or are you just filling time? Learn more about open positions at damar.org.
Rob Kendall, Abdul-Hakim, Shabazz, Jim Merritt. The program is Statehouse Happenings, your weekly look at what's going on with Indiana politics and government. Before we begin the program, let's meet the award-winning panel. You know him from 30 years in the Indiana Senate, the great Jim Merritt. Hello.
Robert.
And you know him as the owner and operator of IndyPolitics.org, Abdul-Hakim Shabazz. Hello.
Welcome, bienvenue, welcome.
Okay, couple of thank yous before we begin. First of all, thank you to Abdul and Indy Politics for the now loading this program. We will have a new home soon, and we got some changes coming to Statehouse Happenings, and I think it's all going to be fabulous. But in the meantime, you've graciously said I will load this fabulous program so it can be
happy to
consumed by the masses. And thank you to our friends at WYRZ who are allowing us to record this program at their fabulous radio station in Brownsburg, WYRZ.org. All right, so you have posted a link about this. And it's not a week that goes by if Abdul is not in a feud with the office of Diego Morales, Indiana Secretary of State. Okay, so let's go back in the time machine. What is the deal with these people filing for office and the potential problems with their campaign forms?
Well, when you file for office, and Jim, you can totally understand this, haven't been in the state senate for a while. When you file, you have to file what's called a declaration of candidacy. You're declaring that you're running for state house, state senate, Congress, and you got to file that with you got to file in two places, either A, the election board, or B, the Secretary of State's office.
So you can file it in your home county.
No. These have to be filed in person in Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you're running for a county office, that you can file in Hendricks County or Marion County, wherever. But if you're filing for a state office, state senate, state rep, you have to literally walk the paperwork into the Secretary of State's office or the election board.
Very good.
So imagine if you live in New Albany, Fort Wayne, Richmond. It's a little bit of a hike,
right?
But usually kind of plan it,
sure,
and you go from there.
To alter that just a little bit, you also have to do a form in the office in the state senate or the state house, an economic form as well.
A statement of economic interest.
Well, this is why I'm never running for public office again. I'm so fabulously rich. I don't want everybody to know where my money's at. Anyway, go ahead. Okay, so you and this is people usually get their picture taken. I filed today to blah blah blah. Okay, go ahead.
And so, but what happened was, in the statute, the people who accept the forms and sign it, they have to be notaries
in the Secretary of State's office
or the election board.
Okay, and
these have their set of notaries that they have.
Okay,
and so the election board was fine. In Diego's office, they weren't notarized.
Oh, my goodness.
So
good night.
So candidate Jim Merritt goes into the Secretary of State's office, declares he's running for the state senate. The person who signs the form isn't notarized. So technically, your form doesn't work.
Yeah.
And if somebody wanted to challenge you, which I want to say you can maybe start challenging maybe next week, I think is when the challenges start, you can be actually thrown off the ballot.
Okay, so this.
But wait,
there's more. Oh, there's more. Okay, all right. Okay, go ahead. Okay, fine.
So we broke this story. We found out about it that weekend. I'm like, what in the world's going on here? And so I did some research. Like, holy crap, this isn't good. And like, okay, so when I found out about it, I had two choices. I could either run the story like early that week and give people time to fix it, or I could wait until Friday at 1:00.
At the deadline,
after the deadline is filed, and do a Thanos from Avengers Endgame and snap my fingers with the Infinity Gauntlet and watch half the world disappear.
Yeah,
I was like, nah, that would be like, no, that would be bad. That would be Mad Max chaos.
What was the percentage of your heart that wanted to do it?
10%.
Okay.
I thought about it for about 10 minutes. I thought long. Like, nah, God will get you for this one, Abdul.
All right, so you put this out. And then there's like this explosive response from Diego. At least he wasn't at a motor vehicle advisory board.
Well, actually, no. First of all, the explosive response was from the lawmakers. Because once they found out about this, they're like, what in the world? Holy crap. And so people
started writing amendments.
And they're on the House floor, when the House and Senate floor when all this was going on. So they all started running upstairs like that afternoon. And also, by the way, this also counts for county prosecutors and judges. And so you got people, like I said, once again, in different parts of the state literally having to drive up here, down here, over here to file because you got to file in person because
Yeah.
you can't email the form in.
Yeah.
So
What a way to run a railroad, boy.
yeah,
Okay, so you put this out, and then he being Diego Morales puts out some sort of like statement in which he says everything but you lied
yeah.
because he can't say you lied. So tell us about what his response. I mean, it was to you.
Yeah,
He did.
he called me the fake news, and this is wrong, and blah blah blah. Don't believe it. Everything is fine. Our office did everything just right. But what I thought about that was the most interesting. The most interesting part of that concept was either you believed me or did you believe Diego?
Right.
And people believed me because people went upstairs to refile just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
And they filed at the election board, not at the Secretary of State's office.
Okay. So how does this happen? I mean, is this just incompetence? Because it seems like your job as the elections chief is to know the election law, right? That's literally your job. How does that happen?
That we still have yet to figure out. We don't know whether people are incompetent or just lazy or a little bit of both.
Because part of the deal, Merritt, is this guy, and we've talked about this for years, he uses his office as a 24/7 campaign machine. He appears to have no interest whatsoever, for the most part, in governing. He's just interested in look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And these are the things that's like, yeah, now we're looking at you for all the wrong reasons.
Well, this is the nuts and bolts of running an office that everything that you're supposed to do. Now, in years past, I remember going there, but I remember being at the state election board as well with Connie Lawson, and it's just fascinating because they've run the Secretary of State's office has run a very good operation when Diego's there with everything that
In
they're
spite
in
of him.
charges. Yes, and this is I think one of the first times that I've seen anything negative about running that office. And I would imagine you're going to see some amendments on a bill somewhere in the next week or so. They're going to have to fix this so that I don't know how you fix it because you need a notary to notarize that. There's no changing that.
Yeah, and how, look,
It
if
makes it a document.
somebody in a government office tells you you're good, I mean, what else are you
Yes.
supposed to do?
Yes.
You have no reason to believe that that everything's fine. Now, there was an issue about whether had the election board gone through it and they would have challenged it, the election board would have said, "Okay, this is just it's called a Scrivener's error. In other words, it's wrong, but it doesn't materially affect what you filed." So they would accept those things. Okay, but you got to understand though, it's more hassle, it's more grief, it's more lawyers, it's more paperwork.
Sure.
And it's more us talking about it.
Yes.
And why do you have the rule? That's the question. And then you just say, well, the rule doesn't even matter if you're just going to throw it all out if everybody just gets a free pass on it.
Right.
Yeah, that's if they don't change it by amendment, and I don't know how you do that, but it'll be a free pass.
If you're David Shelton, who's running against Diego Morales for Secretary of State in the Republican convention, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like he's exploited this very much. I would be all over this. It just shows the guy is incompetent, and he is so focused on campaigning that he's not focused on the nuts and bolts. I mean, this is not a minor thing. This is a huge issue.
Actually, if you're Bo Bai,
Well,
you're just because you got what 1.8 what got $1 million in the bank,
yeah.
and your opponent, who the guy's likely to be the nominee, just handed you a major issue.
But I'm saying if you're Shelton, you're so outfunded, right? And you got to figure out a way to make this convention close, Jim. If I'm him, this is all I'm talking about. See, I would say, this is what we're talking about. All of this stuff this guy does, and he's not paying attention to governance.
This is incompetence, and it's a lot different than what trip he took or anything that is within the line. Not gray, if you will, and this is the first time a candidate has really had a chance to lay a glove on him, or a government official, and so yes, this definitely affects the convention. You might see other candidate come out other than David Shelton. You just never know because I don't know if the term "drawing blood" is the term.
I won't say draw blood, smell blood in the water.
Yes, I think you probably see another candidate.
Oh, really?
come to the fore.
No kidding.
So just when you thought it was safe to go back into the election cycle.
Yeah, I don't know when the deadline is for candidates to file for the convention for the Secretary of State's office.
Right before the convention, isn't it? I mean, it's like within days or
I think
whatever.
like within days of the convention.
Right.
Yeah,
so you still got months.
You got months, and
But
so
you gotta raise
there might
money.
be some people sitting on porches talking to delegates other than Dave Shelton and Diego Morales.
And by the way, if you're a delegate, and even if you like Diego Morales, how do you justify with everything we know about Diego?
With the wave of everything that we've talked about,
travel,
how do you survive?
The alleged inappropriate contact with other women, and this it's like, okay, at what point is enough?
Right.
Enough.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're right, and it'll be interesting to see, because if you're Daniel Elliott, if you're Lisa Nishala, you don't want to run with this guy.
Nope.
Because you're safe. No, I mean, it's a freebie, right?
And they've done their job. I mean, they're competent.
The only thing that can harm them is if they get stuck with this guy and Bo buys millions of dollars, starts, exposing or rehashing or whatever, all the crap Morales has pulled. And then now come back to your point, it becomes a headache where none exists. You can just hide in your basement otherwise and win. And now you got to deal with this guy.
Well, yeah. And you also, I mean, the negativity out there of redistricting and the errors that we made with the state government has made with Medicaid funds and $445 million. And I mean, it starts to stack up.
One of the most incredible journeys I've witnessed is seeing people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, including autism, get the care they deserve. It's life-changing. A not-for-profit started by families for families, Damar helps thousands in central Indiana live more joyful and independent lives. You can help bring hope to countless families in Indiana with a donation to support our work. Visit damar.org to learn more.
Rob Kendall, Abdul-Hakim Shabazz, Jim Merritt. The program is Statehouse Happenings.
You can't make this stuff up.
It's content for the show.
And the sad part is, why does all this end up getting funding me? That's what I can't quite figure out.
Well, that's the point, right? Is instead of just going, hey, it looks like we made a mistake, an oversight, no excuse for it, we won't let it happen again. Thank you, Abdul, for pointing this out. We're happy to assist any candidate any way we can to correct this. We're, urge the election board to consider this if somebody can't get back here. He gets lippy, basically, with you by not naming you, and then his people are getting lippy with you, basically.
They get lippy all they want. The fact is, it doesn't change a darn thing.
Yeah.
Screwed up.
Yeah, that is common in politics these days. Is try to wipe it away and move on. And it's not what you teach your children. Your children say admit wrong and move on. And it's really politics these days.
Except responsibility.
Exactly. Accountability.
All right, we're moving on. Rob Kendall, Jim Merritt, Abdul-Hakim Shabazz. The program is Statehouse Happenings, your weekly look at what's going on with Indiana politics and government. Our old pal Jennifer Ruth Green is back in the news.
How about that?
Again, Indy Star with the big expose this morning. Haley Colombo with the article. So just a reset here on who she is. So she ran for Congress, Jennifer Ruth Green, in 22, I think. Is that right? First congressional district, the region.
24.
No, it was 4 years ago.
Yes,
that other Niemeyer ran.
Yeah, she didn't run 24.
Right.
22.
So she loses, but then she gets anointed some sort of rising star status in the Republican Party, which it's hey, you lost. Hey, but you're the next great thing. And so then she gets appointed to be, the safety secretary, the public safety secretary in the Braun administration. It's a $275,000 a year job. And within 8 or 9 months, she's out the door. She pays this fine related to an investigate to the ethics commission, right? The inspector general's office was looking into her. She admits wrongdoing on a couple of them. They were looking into a whole bunch of stuff, and that could have got real nasty if she hadn't, fallen on the sword and pay, and which I believe is the largest fine ever administered.
It's big, no question about it.
I think it's the ethics commission that you pay that to. Is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so she admits to doing these wrong things, basically having personnel do political activity on state time. Now she got out of these potentially what could have been, because there were allegations of like ghost employment, things like that. So she falls on the sword, pays the fine, admits to doing these things, leaves the Braun
She takes
administration.
the administrative plea bargain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if falling on the sword really. The falling on the sword is kind of sounds
Noble.
noble. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point, right?
Yeah.
She says, "I did it."
Yeah,
How about that,
okay,
right?
She admits.
She admits fault. Okay. And you're an attorney. That is what this is, right? She's saying, "I did these things."
He's basically taking an administrative plea bargain. It's
She's
like, hey,
held by to account.
Yeah.
well, we can get you on this, or if you want to fight it, we got all these other charges
Right.
over here.
And then almost as soon as she leaves the Braun administration, which, by the way, she tried to present herself as leaving the Braun administration. Remember, she's in some sort of military garb in her photo, like she's off to some sort of duty. And it's like, nah, you could be doing that duty and still be in this.
But we honor the duty.
Well, sure, absolutely, but we don't honor people that want you to think that they're
facade.
Right. Okay. So then she announces she's running for Congress. Well, yeah, I guess she said she was going to run for Congress.
Right.
And is raising money, doing all this stuff, and then at the last minute decides or says,
never mind.
Yeah, I was waiting to finish the sentence. And she blames it on a lack of redistricting, which she essentially then admits, I was banking on rigging these maps because I'm not good enough to run a campaign to win as the map currently exists. So
that's exactly right.
You're the fair and balanced one of this show. Abdul and I, we're totally biased, but you're supposed to be the voice of reason. That's an accurate assessment, right?
Very much so. Yeah.
All right. So now it has come out in the Indy Star that according to them, Green spent $23,000 in legal bills to attorney Jennifer Lukemeyer, who you know her, very prominent attorney, well-known attorney, and no harm on her, right? Get the work where you can get it.
Sure.
But she paid it out of campaign funds.
Oh, Lord. Good night.
Well, theoretically, you can spend campaign funds on almost.
Well, okay, so let's get into this, right? Because you're right, there are a wide range of things you can attempt to justify campaign funds being spent on. However, they have to be related to the campaign.
Right.
And so now the red flag that is being raised is she was not a declared candidate for office when she was doing these things. This was in her personal capacity that she was doing these things. And there's a lot of people saying, wait a second, we may have a major issue here because you were not a candidate for office when you were using these campaign funds.
Right. And I think you both know me well enough. When you spend campaign money, it has got to be on advertising. It's got to be on something that's going to promote your candidacy. And
our going party at Nikki Blaine's to thank everybody for your mayoral.
Whatever you say, but you've got to be beyond the norms. You've got to be clean, and this is not clean. And $23,000 for legal fees. There was at one time that some of us in the political spectrum thought that she would end up being lieutenant governor.
Yeah,
and
Beckwith's
that
lucky.
is a scary thought.
Beckwith's lucky that she didn't run because she would have won.
She would have won. There's no question about it.
Now we found
because
somebody.
Braun would not have named Julie McGuire if she would have run.
The irony of this is we would have found somebody worse than Beckwith, which is pretty hard to do.
Yeah, she is a walking scandal.
Okay, so what's interesting then about this article, and everybody go read it at Indy Star.
Haley Colombo's a very good reporter.
Very good reporter. They reached out to Jennifer Ruth Green's people, and
she still has people?
Well, she had somebody who spoke on her behalf, a person, I don't know. They basically said, well, we used the campaign funds because the only reason any of this happened to her was because she was running for office. So they're not denying she did the thing, right? She did it. She said she did it. But what blows my mind about this is they're saying, essentially, well, all sorts of people are skirting the rules around here, and they're only coming after us because she was going to run for public office.
Yeah. Well, also...
okay. All right. These are public office rules, period.
Well, right, but I'm saying what they're saying is, well, and of course this is ridiculous, right? They came after her because she was committing egregious violations. She was brazen about it. I think she got turned in by her own people, or at least her own people were part of the conversations that took place. And I mean, she signed that thing with Braun, that improvement plan. And so there's no defense of what she did. And their only response is, well, they're only coming after her because she's running for office. So you're saying all these other people are playing fast and loose with the rules too? That to me was the bigger, I don't know, you call it omission or whatever you want to call that. But to me, that's like, really? That's your defense?
Well, the state election board is going to have to make a decision on what is right and what is wrong, and $23,000 in legal fees that were not campaign oriented. They're going to have to act on that. So she may have more legal fees.
And Indiana's pretty. I won't necessarily say Indiana's campaign finance laws is the wild, wild west. But as long as you can, it's like 6 degrees of separation. Kevin Bacon. If you can, this, and if you get back to the campaign within like 6 steps, then usually you're fine. But this is like, this is like that 6.5, 7-ish.
Well, you've got to set precedent somewhere.
Yeah, and you think you got legal fees now.
Yeah.
Well, and so the Star reached out to these multiple people who have backgrounds in campaign finance, legal experts, and they were basically saying the same thing, which is, wait a second, it's clearly in her personal capacity she was doing this. These are personal expenses. I don't know how you're going to make a case that they relate to your campaign, which didn't exist when this stuff was going on.
When you weren't a candidate, you didn't have an exploratory committee, you weren't raising money, you weren't doing any of the stuff that the candidates normally do.
That's the bright line there.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, and by the way, and this is at the bottom of the story, and I love this. The FEC apparently still doesn't have what do they call that? A quorum. They've still got enough because nothing works in Washington.
Yeah.
So the FEC really can't investigate her right now. So but the state could, even though it's a federal office, the state can still investigate this.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Well, what's worse off is the Indianapolis Star has it, and in the court of public opinion, she's sliding, and that's almost more punitive.
And see, here's the other part of this equation too. If the state does decide to pursue it and pursue possible criminal charges, is it the Lake County prosecutor who will do it, who is a Democrat, or is it the Marion County prosecutor?
Yeah, and I have to say that I was wrong. I thought Jennifer Ruth Green could move out of the bubble of Indianapolis and move up to Lake County, back up to Lake County, and run for Congress, and it not what happened in Indianapolis not follow her. But I was wrong, and it did follow her. And her campaign obviously was moribund. We had somebody run back in the 80s from jail up in Lake County. And it's so his name was Crumpacker. But
did he have the Jim Nethercutt haircut? Who ran for Congress from prison?
It was just strange. This guy named Pete Crumpacker ran from jail. And anyway,
what a name!
Yeah.
But it really, I've been saying this for years about this woman, and people are like, "Oh no, she's great." I said, no. I've seen and heard enough. She is not great. But it once again, whether it's Diego, Beckwith, this woman, like so many of these people, don't appear to care at all about taxpayers. It's all about themselves.
Yep.
It's all about enriching themselves, empowering themselves. Who are the people that are supposed to be fighting for us? Where are they? When do they start
This
running?
is why people fear and don't trust government. The credibility has ebbed, and it's all about bright, shiny objects.
And by the way, this would never have happened under Mitch Daniels or Mike Pence.
No.
All right, a couple minutes left in our program today. Well, it always does, right? Okay, so, and again, we want to thank Indie Politics. IndiePolitics.org. Get yourself a cheat sheet subscription while you're over there, by the way. Help Abdul buy a martini and a cigar for loading the program for us until we get to our new home in WYRZ in Brownsburg, for letting us record the show here. We're coming back with some great new stuff very, very soon. We're sleeping on other people's couches until we get to our
pretty good.
We're couch surfing.
Okay, so we are 2-3 weeks left to go in the legislative session.
We are.
There just doesn't seem to be, there's a whole bunch of stuff. By the way, did you guys see this? Let's get into this real quick. Did you see that there is now a bill that is tackling Carmel and Fisher's ability to cap the rental properties in a subdivision?
Mayor Fadness testified in front of that committee yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
This is part of a bigger issue that I think lawmakers are going to have to eventually address: local control versus state control. Because whether it is rentals in Carmel or whether it's billboards here in Indianapolis, there's always been this sort of back and forth between local governments and the state government. And granted, local governments are creatures of the state. However, I look at it like this: uh, when you became an adult and moved out of your house and moved out of your parents' house and got your own place, imagine your mom and dad still telling you, "Well, son, you still got a curfew.
Right.
You still got to do this. Still got to do your homework." But mom, I don't live there anymore. But you want your kids to leave the house, but you don't want to cut the purse. You don't want to cut the strings. And I think that fundamentally is the big issue here.
It's very much at risk. And, and when I became a state senator in 1991, home rule was such an enormous issue with all the locals, and they demanded it, and it wasn't beaten into you, but it was very, very important to them. And you can see this has really slid through the last 10 years or so, and I feel bad for the locals. I ran into a lot of legislators last night, and they can't wait for Sunny Die for the session to adjourn.
And by the way, Sunny Die is Latin for "get the hell out of here."
Yeah.
Well, okay, so real quick, just so people, I assume most people listening to this program are very informed of what's going on in and around them. Carmel and Fishers capped the amount of rental homes in any subdivision to 10%. Other communities are looking at doing this. The reason is that they don't feel that these homes that are owned by megacorps are being as well maintained, that they are keeping them up to date, and they have said that is affecting other people's property values potentially. And so we're going to cap this. And they have passed this through their governing bodies, and the people there seem to like it, the members of those communities. Look, I'm a personal property rights person, but if what you're doing affects somebody else's property, then I got a say in it, right?
Right.
And so I think if you're not keeping the weeds up, if you're not, mowing the lawn properly, all of these sorts of things, and if it's affecting my home value, then I get a right to have a voice. I don't think I have a problem with this because it's a local issue, and if the people there don't like it, you vote the people out who voted it in. I think the state is really overstepping on this.
It's interesting because Congress does the same thing to the state. It just seems like the entity above you always puts their foot on your throat. And I don't have public input and the impact from the community. They ought to be able to have this. And House Bill 1001 this year was very, very tough on locals, and I don't know where that is in the process. We all know it's a spaghetti bowl over there right now, but local control has been diminished a lot in the last couple of years.
And I would keep tabs on the primary, because I would not be surprised that if lawmakers kind of oversee local control, that's just another issue for a primary challenger.
Yeah.
And this is a real legitimate this is a redistricting which is just nonsense.
Right.
This is actually a real local related issue.
Right. I've been doing a lot of homework, talking to a lot of people, and I said,
because you're rich, you live in Carmel.
Well, this about the primary. I've said in the past that no incumbents will lose. There might be one. And so I think we need to stay in tune with that. But I'm talking about a Senate Republican. And so you just never know. It just all depends on who's got the money and who's got the local control.
Another fabulous edition of Statehouse Happenings. Jim Merritt, Abdul-Hakim Shabazz, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Jim Dalton, President and CEO of Damar. Damar is a critical resource for thousands of people in central Indiana, and it takes people like you to give them hope. With over 1,300 employees and hundreds of volunteers, Damar is always looking for people to come aboard. Whether it's a career or simply donating your time, there's a place for you here at Damar. Learn more about our mission at damar.org.
Rob Kendall, Abdul-Hakim Shabazz, Jim Merritt. Our program is Statehouse Happenings, your weekly look at what's going on with Indiana politics and government. Don't forget, you can find Abdul on Twitter at ATTYAbdul, at ATTYAbdul, and he has a very fabulous website, indypolitics.org, indypolitics.org. While you're there, get yourself a cheat sheet subscription. All the juicy rumor, gossip, and innuendo going on with Indiana politics and government. Jim Merritt, he is on Twitter at Jim_Merritt, at Jim_Merritt. And he has a fabulous podcast as well. It's called Merritt in the Morning. Merritt in the Morning. Me? somewhat homeless these days, but you can find me on Twitter at Rob M. Kendall, at Rob M. Kendall. All right, that is going to do it for us this week. Thank you as always. We will see you back here next week. For Jim Merritt, for Abdul-Hakim Shabazz, I'm Rob Kendall. You've been listening to Statehouse Happenings.